I'm here to feed your appetite. Like what you see, it's what you get. Or am I deep, full of regret? All that you know, too little light. But can you see what is inside? I'm surface level, so they say. Or am I just not letting you in? Oh my, what a sin. 'Cause I'll swipe again and be with another man. Whoa. But secretly, I'm dying, so fill my voice up to the top. 'Cause you know that I cannot stop. Can't get these names straight in my head, or all the sheets left on the bed. So don't get too attached to me. On to the next when I agree. Oh my, what a sin. 'Cause I'll swipe again and be with another man. Whoa.
Hello and welcome to episode, I should have thought of this beforehand, episode 17, I think it is. My goodness, that's
episode
crazy.
Something?
Yeah. This is the Music Community Podcast, a podcast about musicians here on Twitch. And each week we like to spotlight someone very special. And this week our guest is Miss RaquelLily. How are you doing?
Doing awesome, gang.
And we also have another special guest host. You are officially like our first returning person. Richie is back. Doc has a lot of work today that he's got to catch up on. So he apologizes that he can't be here, but Richie's going to fill in and kind of keep us all in check because I need someone, to keep me in line. But yeah, so
what? I don't do that. I don't keep you in line, Dan. Come on.
I guess you do.
Dang.
Really quick before we get going, I wanted to shout out Christy Cates. She made us a really awesome overlay since we started doing this video thing here on the Saving Music Live channel. And we were joking about it when she was making it. She's like, I made a 4-panel one. Do you guys need a 3-panel one? And we were like, nah, we don't need that. We're good. And since then, like, Steph wasn't able to be here because of power outage. And then this week, Doc. So it's like, we needed that 3-panel, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah. For anybody who's new to the show or new to the podcast or might not know, we actually live stream record this podcast right now at twitch.tv/saving music live. And then we are able to interact with our chat live and also take donations for Mr. Holland's Opus Foundation. So pretty cool stuff. Thank you, Christy Cates, for the awesome design.
So Raquel, how are you doing today?
Well, I've got a cat in my lap, so, the day's wonderful.
Awesome. So we always start with like our guests, like musical journey. Where did that begin for you?
I've pretty much been singing all my life. My parents are singers, so it's kind of just been a very musical household. My brother pursued music as well in high school. My sister sings as well. So it's just a community that I grew up in and especially in the Philippines, everybody either dances or sings or does both.
Oh, wow.
And so the culture itself is very music art rich. And I was born in the Philippines, actually. So I started singing then. And I performed really early. Although I was a very shy kid. I was shy up until like 18 when I started breaking out of my shell. Or maybe like in high school. Anyway, so in high school, I joined a few metal bands. Believe it or not, I was a lead singer in singer. I say that term loosely because it was mostly screaming.
That's awesome.
So I was in a bunch of metal bands growing up. That's kind of how I developed lyrically. Although there's not much singing involved in it, I still did do like singing courses here and there. But beyond that, I grew up listening to, unbeknownst to me, a lot of jazz singers, which really cultivated, like a vibrato and really my style of singing now. And I also joined chorus when I was in the 3rd grade. So I've been singing in school since then. And and I guess professionally a few years ago, I had 2 full-time jobs. I have a degree in neurobiology. I did not pursue music at all in college. I had the intention of going to med school and pursuing this whole medical career and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But I have always had a passion in music and I've always loved doing it. I've always loved writing songs. And I kind of just took a leap of faith. I mean, I stopped pursuing medicine so much and kind of took music more and more seriously to the point where I could do it full time. So that's really where I am now.
I didn't know that you had a medical background. That's insane.
Well, I noticed that on her Twitter profile. It's like the stuff you'd expect, but then it's like neurobiologist. And I'm like, she must have like a academic side to her. So that makes total sense. Do you think that going back for a higher degree or something, maybe years down the road or doing research or something like that is something you might want to do one day? Or think it's kind of like music and...
Yeah, honestly, even as a little girl, if you asked me what I wanted to do, I was like, I want to be a singer. So this is literally my lifelong dream that I'm living and is made possible because of everybody here on Twitch. And but prior to that, I still do play live shows with my band, solo duo with Mr. Jacob Edwards, who's also here.
Is he in chat?
Yes, I think he is. But as far as pursuing medicine in the future, I don't know. Like I'm such a science hobbyist. I read a lot of papers on the side, or I'll follow doctors and researchers on Twitter. But that's the extent of my science, I guess, being in my life. It's more application. Like I try and take good care of myself, and just reading the latest scientific news.
Yeah. That's really cool. What instrument did you pick up first? I know like you started singing and you play guitar on your stream very well. When did
thank you, Dan.
Like an instrument?
I don't think I'm very good, but that's because I play with freaking monster players. But I thank you. I play guitar. I've been playing since I was 13. I picked it up because I was obsessed with the Beatles and I wanted to be just like them.
Yeah.
So you joined a metal band?
Yeah.
2 years later, Raquel screaming in a metal band.
That's
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
though. That's so cool.
No, it
Actually-
makes so much sense.
I
ahead.
started playing guitar for this metal band, and then they're like, "We need a singer." And I'm just like, "Oh, that's easy. I mean, I could sing, I could scream, right?"
Now, how many Filipino kids were in your class?
You know what? Growing up, I was in white suburbia New York. I mean, at least at the time. I grew up in a town called Franklin Square, which is on the border of Queens in Long Island. And I was like the only brown kid in class. So everybody thought I was either Italian, Native American, or Black. And nobody knew where the Philippines was. So there was, as I grew older and I went to high school, and there were more kids from different areas, there were definitely, maybe one or two Filipinos, but
Yeah.
few and far in between.
How old were you when you moved?
I just wanted to move and make traveling or make school an excuse for traveling. And I moved when I was 18. I moved to Miami first, then I moved to California. And all this was because I was going to school.
Yeah.
And I graduated in California and then moved to Alabama.
Gotcha. Now you said
Alabama. It's very different. It's just interesting because you went from like New York is, New York and California. Those are very like, progressive areas. And then now you're in, tell me what you like about Alabama. Like, what is it about it? I want to know. Nothing against the South. I just want to know what it is.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I get this question all the time, which is why I made a vlog about it. Cause like people were like, what the hell? Like, why would you move from California to Alabama and you grew up in New York? Well, growing up in New York, it's not as glamorous as you think. First of all, everything's super expensive. Second, everyone's really like mean and it's cold up there. So for me, I was not born there. I moved there when I was 7 from the Philippines. And I was never like attached to the land. And I've always wanted to explore and travel. I always felt like there was more to the world than New York, which is very opposite of the mentality up there. It's like New York's the best city, like screw everything else. Like this is this is the place to be. But it's like, have you ever left? No. Well, then how do you know? So I'm always down to explore, and I have never lived in the South before. And prior to this, I was living in California. And a big reason why I moved here is because, believe it or not, Birmingham, and I can't speak for the rest of Alabama, but Birmingham is a huge medical mecca. And half the city is populated with hospitals. And it's actually the largest employer in Alabama, which is a UAB, which is it's a teaching hospital. And I got a job there when I first moved here.
That's really cool. See, that just fascinates me about, like, I didn't know that you had that medical background and stuff.
Yeah. It was a huge influence as to why I moved here. But beyond that, I just took a cross country road trip, and I was going to move to Austin, but I don't know. I think musically, I felt like it was too saturated for my taste. I stayed there for a week, and I was just like, I don't know. Small fish like me, I don't think I could swim very well. But Birmingham, I just saw so much potential when I moved here 5 years ago. I felt like there was so much good music here. People appreciated original music, which I didn't see at all in California. I'd go to an open mic and there'd be like 2 people in the crowd, and they'd only stay because they were playing the show, and then they'd leave. They wouldn't even stick around or make friends or communicate with anyone. And I just thought that was just bullshit. Like, I want to live somewhere where that had a cultivating community for music. So I hung out in Birmingham, and I was like, dude, this place is rad. How come no one knows about this place? And I felt like I stumbled upon a gem. Like,
nice.
I'm still baffled to this day where people are just discovering Birmingham. And it's funny because when my friends come visit, they're like, oh my God, Alabama is such redneck. And it's just like, they come here and they visit me, and they're just like, when can I come back? This place is awesome. So like I said, I can't speak for the rest of Alabama, but I am completely in love with Birmingham, and I love it here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the South is hot. I spent time in the Pacific Northwest, then I spent time in like the Midwest, which is really cold. And Oh my goodness. I'm in Virginia, and people in Alabama would not say Virginia's the South. They'd be like, nah, that's
I
like the
beg
East
to differ. I
Coast.
think Southerners think Virginia's the South.
Not the ones I met. I mean, we're sort of. I guess we're kind of the South. They serve sweet tea here. I guess we could call us the South.
If
We
you
serve
drink sweet tea, you're Southern, damn it.
Yeah.
I drink water. What am I?
I have an unsweet tea right now.
Yeah, it's not the deep South, but it's the South for sure.
Yeah. So you said in college you didn't really pursue music too much?
Correct. I mean, I was pursuing neurobiology.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can imagine, my workload
not
was
much time.
Yeah, but I've always been writing music on the side, and I actually worked out of a recording studio in my spare time in Sacramento. So whenever I could, I'd go over there and learn a thing or two about recording, tracking, all that stuff. Which is why I'm able to do it now, is because just over the years, even though I was in school pursuing something else, you could still have hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So music was just like my main time. What's the word I'm looking for? It was just a huge hobby that I ended up taking very seriously later on.
I was just curious about when, because we all know who you are now. Like you write original stuff. You're performing and you're on Twitch, and it's like a full-time gig. I'm just wondering when that manifested, or when you decided to really give it a go, or was it like a light bulb moment, or was it like just I'm curious.
He wants to know.
My
when
secrets.
did it happen?
Yeah.
When did RaquelLily cease to be medical RaquelLily and being Twitch Megastar, sponsored by Rode mics?
Yes,
Ooh,
this shiny new mic.
Congratulations, by the way. When did all
thank
of
you.
this stuff really start to climb? You know what I mean? When did it start to pick up the pace? When did it start to be a thing? When did people start seeing in the airport?
Sure. Yeah. So when I moved here, I mentioned that I got that job at the hospital. I was a neurophysiology tech. So basically, I would shock people for a living, literally put electrodes on you and figure out how your nerves acted.
Allie's like, what?
Yeah. And I got really jaded working at the hospital, because all your life, especially as like a Filipino American, you're told go into medicine, be a nurse, be a doctor. So I just never thought music was
tell me who I am. You're not my mom.
Yeah, exactly. But you are my mom. Now what do I do? And so I worked there for about 1.5 years, and I realized that every time I would come home, I was just so creatively stifled. I wouldn't want to work on anything. I just want to go to sleep. And then I go to sleep and I do the same thing the next day. And the only thing that I'd look forward to were the shows that I'd play on the weekends and band practice. And I don't know. I spent so much time wishing I was elsewhere. And I figured, because I'm playing these shows, why don't I take a step towards trying to play more of those, maybe. And you couldn't really do that in the hospital. Everything's very strict. You only have X amount of hours. There wasn't much climbing. Unless I wanted to go back to school, that's the only way I could make more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do any of that per se, because that would take more time away from my music, which was opposite of what I wanted to do. And so I just kind of took a leap of faith. I needed a part-time job because I couldn't sustain myself just through music. So I found this job with my degree, which is weird because I have a degree in neurobiology. I got a job with my degree doing paralegal work. So go figure.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I was
all the vocabulary. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is awesome, because I worked for a private lawyer who taught me a lot of how to run a small business. Lo and behold, being a musician, all it is running your own business, and the product is you.
Yep.
So I worked there for about 1 year. I eventually dropped down to part-time there. And it was it kind of coincided with me going on tour. So it was kind of just an opportunity that arose, which is going on tour, going to all these colleges, which is when I met a lot of you guys. Actually, I was on tour doing road trip streams IRL eating.
I remember those at school.
live
You'd
shows.
be at, like
Yeah.
random schools. People would
I
be
remember
giving
you
your
guys-
autograph and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this?
I remember you guys like rating me during that. Yeah, Random Girls Singing actually rated
Yeah,
me
man.
during like one of my meet and
This is
greets.
insane.
Yeah. So it was kind of just like it all happened at once where my boss couldn't sustain me working there full time. So he's just like, I'm gonna have to drop you down to part time. Obviously, that means less money for you because it's less hours. And then I was just like, oh, perfect. Well, this tour landed in my lap.
Awesome.
And
It's awesome. Funny how it lines up like that, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just really serendipitous for me. And so for a year, I toured heavily with Mr. Jacob Edwards. And we played duos all around the US. And I would stream them. But I noticed that it was really hard to garner an audience on Twitch because you're not on a set schedule. What I realized about streaming is people want to know when to expect you.
Yeah.
Of course, like any TV show or really anything in life is like, when can I see you next?
Yeah.
And that was really hard to commit to. So I had to make a decision. I was like, all right, touring or Twitch. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so I kind of dropped out of so many, like just touring all the time to I had this theory where I'm like, if I build this audience, then maybe there will be a demand later on for me to play in these areas. Because
I think that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's very smart. In the meantime, you're killing it online. You get
Thank
to
you.
do it in your own time, and people get to know you, like truly know you,
Yeah.
not just this few minutes on stage or after chatting.
Oh,
like,
for sure. Yeah.
that's
And
brilliant. Yeah.
I love it way more because I get to know my audience, which is something that I couldn't really do on the road. You'd play these shows in front of these people and they'd take a picture with you, talk to you for 2 seconds, but it's nothing like sitting here and actually getting to know people's usernames and then like associating
Yeah.
a personality with that person or with
Yeah.
a username. So yeah, I was getting really frustrated because I felt like I was working really hard on Twitch, but getting partnership was really hard because I was always on the road just killing my audience. Like no one knew when I was going to be online. And so I just made this decision to try and work hard at home and see where it would take me. So that's kind of where you guys find me now is I'm kind of in that in between where like, yes, I still do touring stuff. Like I was just in Asheville the other day.
Yeah, I watched
And I
some of
still
that.
play
That was-
live.
That was so cool.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah. A lot of fun to do that stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Like what's great about Twitch is when I'm on tour, like people from Twitch will come out and come hang out with me. And it's like
Yeah.
having friends in the area, which has never happened before. So it's kind of just this like synergistic movement of touring and Twitch and everything at once. And so I'm just trying to like work off what I have.
It's great. Embracing the internet and embracing that ability to communicate in real time. It makes a lot of things possible. Like Amanda Palmer from the Dresden Dolls. She's a
Oh, okay.
huge face of Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
She's a huge influencer when it comes to Patreon because her Patreon account is just notoriously successful. When she broke from her deal with a label, first she was crowdfunding through her own website to disperse all this stuff, et cetera, et cetera. Now she does, she has a wildly successful Patreon account and she's been doing that for a while. And it is really inspiring to be able to see how that connection in real time, just reaching people and engaging with them and sharing your time with them, versus there is a lot of value to the behind the scenes work of being a recording artist and I'm sure to the preparedness of going on tour, but to actually be able to get to know them and engage with them, it brings it to a whole nother level. It's interesting. And then it gets to the point where it's like, how do I calculate my time? Now you're accepting sponsorships, et cetera. It is kind of interesting to see that grow.
Yeah, for sure. When I do have a question. When because it sounds like you started streaming. I'm curious when like Twitch entered or how you discovered Twitch and decided to stream. Were you still in school at that time or was that post school?
Sure. Actually, I was going back to the timeline. I was a paralegal at the time, and I found myself spending too much time on Overwatch. Way too much time. Like like 8 hours a day time.
Who do you main on Overwatch? This is going to determine
Reaper,
a friendship.
baby.
Nice.
Yeah. Edgelord.
Nerd moment.
It's all good. So I found myself playing games way too much, and a friend of mine actually was like, "Yeah, I'm going to start streaming Overwatch. You should do it with me." Unfortunately, she doesn't stream anymore, but a big reason why I started streaming was because I was, introduced to Twitch in a gaming world. So I actually, the first 4 months or so I started streaming, it was primarily gaming, and my first followers were actually Overwatch people. Which some of them are still in chat to this day.
I was going to say, are any of them here?
That's
Yes,
awesome.
yes.
That's awesome.
So cool, though.
And what I would do is, which I started garnering an audience pretty quickly, I would sing while I was gaming, because singing is kind of just like second nature to me. It's like breathing. And so people would request songs and I'd be gaming, like just ripping face.
Die.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm singing like Ed and James that last while I'm just shooting people.
Yeah.
So that's what I did for a while, and until I had to leave for tour, which I found really cannibalized my audience. Like I would leave for tour, but all these people would follow me because they were, gaming nerds, and it's just like, all right, well, they're not interested in watching my IRL streams. And so I had to figure out, like, what can I do? Well, like how can I make this work? So then I really made the transition into creative, because one, it was the thing that I needed to do, because that's what I was doing every day. And I couldn't game on the road. I just didn't have money to buy a laptop. Like I just didn't have a setup. So when I got back home, I really just worked hard to do the music thing on Twitch. And I found that the community for music was growing more and more with artists like you guys. And so I also realized that the community itself, like people that hang out and chat, were just so supportive. And I would actually start gaming and I would get turned off from the audience, at least particularly in Overwatch, just the saltiness and the rude comments and, being a female gamer and people, just being
being butts.
Being butts.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just stuck around in music because it was just so like it filled my soul with happy things. So
I remember the cooking stream. I see Bill Nash says he found you because you were you're doing a cooking stream.
Yes.
Purple potato shepherd's pie. That sounds delicious.
So when did you discover music on Twitch? Like browsing one day, or how did you find out about it?
Well, I always multitask. I multitask a lot. I'd have like 2 monitors at work, gigantic, or 3 monitors, and one of which would be watching gamers. And one day I was just clicking through Twitch and I found creative. What's this? And I found this guy who was just streaming from his bedroom at his university from like the UK. And he had like 7 people in there. And I was just so envious that he gets to sit there and play music in front of everyone. I was like, just mind blown. I was like, what? People do this? I need to go home and do this. So I just tried it. And actually my very first music stream, which it was just so ghetto. Like my setup was so stupid. My mic was shitty, just like nothing was good about that stream. But it got rated by this what's his name, Kutcher. He's a League of Legends player, I think. And there were like 6,000 people in that raid.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was like my very first like I've never gotten raided before, and that was like my first raid, and I happened to be doing creative for the first time.
That's perfect.
Trying to figure my stuff out.
How did that what happened? That's insane.
Yeah, so unbeknownst to me, in Germany, YMCA, which we all know the song.
Yeah.
That's a meme. It's a German meme, and they think it's hilarious that Americans like loved that song in the 70s. And so everybody
for us too.
Yeah, for like a good 5 minutes, my entire chat was just like YMCA, just requesting YMCA. And so,
you're like, wow, you guys really like YMCA.
So did she
I was just like, I don't get it.
Did you do
all
it?
my mods? I had like 2 mods at the time. They're like, help! And it was like such a trolley raid. So they're just like, we don't know what to do. And I just like wrote it, like no matter how trolly it was, I put on YMCA and I started dancing to it and I sang it. And they're like, holy shit, like this girl can sing. So I went from like 200 followers to like 1,000 that day. And it was just like, I need to do music more often. If like, this is what happens, like if this is the kind of support you get because of something I already do, like I'm going to do this.
I got to add YMCA to my song list really quick.
Yeah. Actually, Megan Linnaeus, who's in chat right now, she was one of the first people that I rated when I started doing music. And I would actually ask people to do YMCA. And I stopped because I realized it was like too trolly. And like, if you don't know me, it might come off as like, I might come off as a prank, maybe.
Yeah.
Now when I get ready, I'm like, man, she's going to request YMCA.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really cool though. So you said like your stream, you know, at first was kind of ghetto and stuff. When you realized like I need to do this more and all that, what were some of the things that you did first, like for people starting out that are kind of in that same boat that really enjoy it? What was like some of the first things that you felt you needed to improve on more than others?
Sure. Funny enough, you know, because I've been pursuing music and I said I worked at a studio, I actually had this shit laying around. Like I had a microphone, I had an NT1A, which is Rode. That was my very first professional studio mic. And I'm like, dude, why don't I just hook that up? Like use that instead of my headset. I had a mixer. I had all these things laying around. And so I just had to put two and two together and just make it work. And eventually just little tweaks here and there and learning more and more about audio and how to output it on the internet. And listening back to myself, watching VODs, I figured out how to make myself sound better and better and better. So I was at the advantage, which not a lot of people have, the fact that I record music, like my own music and all my own stuff. I had all this stuff. So yeah.
It is kind of funny and sort of overwhelming when people are like, okay, I want to do this. What do I do? I want to do this streaming thing. What do I do? And it's like, I really want to help you. You know what I mean? It's great to have resources. I actually want to write a few more resources, but early on, it was a lot of like, you know, everybody goes through that rite of passage. You know, everybody that comes to the music Discord, you know, it's funny, you'll see these things. And usually now that we have the Discord, people will jump in and help them out. But everybody goes through these rite of passages like, you know, if it's not a syncing issue or a, you know, latency issue or a, how do I just get the sound to get an OBS? Now, can I hear desktop sounds issue? I mean, it is. Yeah,
I was going to say, Richie, how many times have you like helped someone or attempted or had that question asked?
Too many times. So I have a tendency to pop into like very, very new streamers and like they'd see that I'd be partnered and then they'll be like, oh, what do you do? And I'm just like, oh, I do music. And they're like, so how do I do this? You know? But yeah, it's definitely, especially with the music Discord now, it's definitely a lot easier for musicians to, you know, play off of each other as far as equipment. Like for me, when I started, like almost 3 years ago, there was nothing like that. My only resource was Ryan. And that didn't even help me that much because it's like you can only do so much when I'm just like, I have no equipment. All I have is a laptop microphone.
It all adds up really, really fast. But you can hack what you have to like, you know, like I had a USB mic and a laptop. And then I was like, well, I really want to EQ it and add some effects. Is there a way that I can do that in GarageBand and feed the audio into OBS and monitor it in GarageBand at the same time? And then from there, it was like, okay, well, now I'm going to have to do this. Now I'm going to have to do this. And the funny thing is you can give everybody step-by-step instructions in the exact software and stuff that you used. Yeah, and they might try to go do it and it won't work.
Yeah, everyone's different. There is no answer. And it's funny when you use terms like, oh, you need an XLR, you know, cable or whatever. And they're like, what? It's an XLR. Yeah. And then it's like, I can't help you right now.
But it's kind of amazing to think that people who literally had no experience, never worked in, you know, like never went to school for broadcast or never worked in a station or never worked at a label or never studied this stuff. Now they're able to, with the power of the internet and people connecting and helping with them, they're able to just become engineers. These folks are becoming engineers and gaining that experience like at home.
Yeah.
I think that's actually pretty incredible. It is really not an easy thing to get everything from your house into Twitch. Like
Nope.
it shouldn't be understated. So it's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, I've learned like, and I knew a lot about audio beforehand, but like the video side of things, I knew nothing about cameras and, you know, any of that stuff. Like I had a camera on my phone that was about all that I worried about. And so there's a huge learning curve, not just with audio, but it's like, you know, bit rate and broadcast settings and all that stuff. It's pretty crazy.
I went through an entire trial period with my bitrate because I had such crappy internet.
Yeah.
Like I had 0.7 upload on a good day.
Oh.
So it was super, super. Once I actually found the right settings for that bad of internet, I was just like, yes. It finally doesn't look like complete crap, but it's still pretty crappy. But it's as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah. Now, so about 2 years, Raquel, you've been streaming?
No, I've actually only been streaming a little bit longer than a year.
Oh, okay.
Music.
I was trying to think when Overwatch came out. I'm like, I was trying to do that.
Yeah. No, I've been playing Overwatch since its launch.
Yeah.
Jacob and I actually started playing right when it came out. That's another thing too. Like people freak out when they're like, "You guys have known each other before stream." I'm like, "Yeah, we play in a band together. We've been playing music for a while."
Wait, did Jacob play in the metal band too?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know him in high school.
Like, I want to see Jacob playing in a metal band.
Oh my gosh.
We really
I'm
have
sure
to
he
give
can play
Jacob
metal,
some
but-
credit. Like
Yeah.
Megan Lenius cracked us all up at the retreat because she was talking to Mr. Jacob Edwards and she said, "Man," because she used to work at Guitar Center, and she's like, "Man, people would come into Guitar Center and they'd come and buy those like 7-string. I don't even. How many strings is on his bass? Is it just 5?
7.
He's got
a
7, right?
yeah.
7 strings. She's like, people will come in and order these things. She goes,
Ladies.
and we all kind. She's like, and we all kind of make fun of them because, come on, are you
Yeah,
really?
they don't know what they're
you know
doing.
What I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just. Can you really like do that justice? She was like, you are like the one person. She's like, you're the reason they create those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys, just the duo, you guys are like epic together.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
just
you.
awesome. Just having a bass accompaniment
Yeah.
and you singing over top of it is very interesting to listen to.
Well,
Yeah. It's
Cool.
you'll have to forgive me. The first time I found out about you was at TwitchCon. I felt like
nice.
I felt like I just didn't catch people at certain times or whatever. But the first time I saw you was at TwitchCon when you performed, for the talent show, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "Man, these guys are really good." And then you showed up at the party afterwards, and I was like, "Oh man, this," and then Jacob, brought the bass.
And everybody's
So,
like,
yeah.
whoa, where did this guy
At the
come from?
party.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, but like I don't know, like you guys do have a really good. You're very musical together. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in some cases that wouldn't work at all. Like it would just sound weird. But he's very complimenting of what you're doing, and it works out really, really well. So that's really cool.
I will give him all the credit though. That was his idea because when I was trying to figure out this, I play around town and I play a lot of shows, and all of them aren't always full band gigs.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to figure out who else can accompany me. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do like a bass and vocal thing. I've never seen that. Like, I don't know how well it would work, how well it'd be received. He just sends me a video casually. I'm just like, dude, we got to do this. And they're just it was like a really good bassist and a really good singer. And they were just doing their thing. And there was no guitar or anything.
Oh,
It was
wow.
them two. And I was just like, wow, this actually really works. Like okay, I'm going to shut up now and we're going to do this.
It's
So-
very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
I always tell people the bass guitar is the butter of instruments. It makes anything good. Like if there's
Exactly.
bass,
Smooth
desserts,
solo, yeah.
main courses, whatever.
Yeah,
What's
I
your
actually-
ukulele, Dan?
It's like a huge part of my songs, actually, bass. I spent a lot of time working on bass in the studio and getting it just right. So I am a huge advocate of like the bass being part of my songs, like not only melodically, but just you're right, that like the butter of the
Yeah,
scene, like
it's like
the backbone.
Well, I mean, it's just so nice to like listen. It's so pleasing to listen to a bass line that just like does its own thing and rises and falls and catches you just where it needs to be and isn't just like following the root note of whatever chords being. You know, even if it were, it would be better than not. But good bass is
just that underlying. Do you guys ever have like I'm trying to think, like cookies that weren't made with butter or something? They're like, oh, it's butter-free cookies. You're like, oh man, I don't want those. Like, you know, it's gonna be terrible.
It would all fall
definitely
apart.
adds. Yeah. So was that was your first TwitchCon then last fall?
Yes, that was. And I met a lot of people in real life that I've never watched their stream before as well. So it's not just you, Dan. But yeah, it was my first TwitchCon. I feel like I just got so at the time I was still kind of touring in September, I just got partnered. So that literally just happened right before TwitchCon. So my channel at the time was just growing. And it came just in time because I got all those partner perks. So that was kind of nice.
The short lines. Floop took me in that line. I was like, oh, wow.
Walking, baby.
Yeah. So
are you guys going this year? Are you going, Raquel?
Oh,
are you
absolutely.
making the trip to San Jose? Yeah. Are you going, Allie? You going again?
It depends on how our move goes.
Okay.
But we're definitely planning on it.
Yeah.
Like we already have like a place like reserved to stay and everything. So hopefully if everything goes right, we'll be there.
Very cool. Dan, you going?
Yeah. I'm going to try to bring Mrs. Drumstone too.
Really?
That's the plan. That's the plan.
See, yeah, that's a great plan. I was kicking around the idea. If I go though, I don't want to go solo. I would want to. I think I'd leave the kids behind though and bring the husband.
Oh yeah, we're not taking the kids. Screw that. That sounds awful.
They're not gonna even enjoy it. They're just gonna ruin it.
Someone needs to invent like kid kennels. You know, like dog kennels. When you travel, you just take your dog.
Oh my goodness!
Right? That's a good idea. No.
I mean, we have kid leashes. You know, take a step further, make kid kennels.
Every time
Clearly, I don't have children.
A kid land you can drop off. Yeah, I don't think Twitch has a huge demand for childcare. Something.
I mean, it would be interesting for somebody to actually like pitch that to them, but I don't think they would. I feel like that's too much of a liability for them to try it. So
the people that had to work there would just.
I'm not leaving my kids at a Twitch daycare.
Yeah.
Hey guys, today we're playing Overwatch.
Yeah.
What character is your favorite?
Yeah. My kids would love that.
Reaper, die.
Yeah.
So Raquel, do you do all of your branding? Your branding, your panels, all of your stuff, if you don't mind me saying so, is super professional. It looks wonderful and beautiful.
Thank you.
Do you do that on your own or do you outsource?
I pretty much do everything on my own. All the panels that I just went on Photoshop and did it. Everything that I've outside of my scientific background, everything's kind of just self-taught, including singing and guitar. But all the art stuff that I do is just kind of like a side passion. Like before while I was in college, I actually did a lot of photography. So I kind of learned how to use Photoshop. I hate it, but it's just kind of, it comes with a territory where if you are a content creator, you have to learn how to use these programs. Yeah. A lot of my stuff as well, I work with a friend of mine. He's a graphic designer. So when I was first starting out, he helped me a lot. And like my posters and my t-shirts and stuff, all that stuff on my online store was designed by my friend. And him and I kind of just collaborated and came up with ideas and sent each other things back and forth. So yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I think you're doing a really great job of marketing and presenting yourself for all the crazy things that you do. Because I mean, it's got to be sort of a strange question to answer. You know, I mean, I guess maybe you've been a live gigging musician for a while. Maybe it's a little easier. You know, people are used to that idea. But like, as a streamer, it's important to have sort of a way to present the context to people that don't understand Twitch.
Mhm.
Do you have an elevator speech or something? Like, how do you present it to people that might not understand it?
There's two things. If they're video people, I just tell them to go on my YouTube, and there's a video that I have called "Who is RaquelLily," and it kind of outlines like everything I do,
Was that
and
what?
it's got elements of Twitch in it.
Gotcha.
Sorry, what were you saying, Dan?
Because you did you had the spotlight on the creative spotlight. Is that the video? Because I was gonna say that video was really good, like edited wise, and like it. I was like it was very well done. It was very cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I edit my own videos as well, and
Yeah.
the reason why I'm pretty good at it is because I've messed up enough on Premiere during my vlogs that when that opportunity came up, I already had all this like backlog videos of just running around playing shows, Twitch VODs.
Mhm.
I just kind of just compressed it into like a 90 second video. But my elevator pitch, going back to your question, if they're just like common folk, I just
Plebes, you could say
yeah.
it.
Plebes.
I'm kidding.
I say, hey, yeah. So do you know YouTube? Well, it's like YouTube, but it's live. They're like, what do you mean? It's like the video that you watch on YouTube is pre-recorded. Twitch is the same thing, but it's live. So, and people, choose to either play video games or play music. And it's just like, people watch other people play video games. And I'm just like, do you watch me perform live music?
Yeah.
Then yes, people who are interested in video games.
Do you watch football?
People. Yeah, exactly. Do you watch football? It's the same thing.
Do you watch PewDiePie?
That's, I mean, have you guys noticed though, maybe it's different, but if you just send somebody a link and they don't have a mobile app and they go to navigate to it from their phone, will they be able to
work?
They can view videos and it works okay?
Oh, if they
'Cause I remember
if they don't have an account, I don't know.
if they don't have the app, because that's one thing I've often wondered or run into. I remember I didn't get a lot of engagement with folks who were not familiar with the platform because they'd have to go to the extra step of downloading the app for things to really flow and work well.
I don't think you need an account.
On Android, at least I know if you open up a Twitch link in your browser, it will ask you, do you want to go to desktop mode in your mobile browser, or do you want to try to download the app? It gives you that option, I believe. So,
which I hate that, by the way. Like if I
It's just
do
a
want to
deterrent in
just check
some
my
ways.
dashboard or something, you got to log in, and then it's like switch to desktop mode, and then it's like, and it's just like this whole thing. It's kind of annoying. Twitch help.
Have you brought a lot of people that weren't familiar with Twitch, Raquel, over to Twitch from your live shows?
Not that many, actually. A lot of the people that I convert are just like close friends who want to see what I'm up to and see what Twitch is about. But honestly, I have an audience here, which I really cater to. So not that I don't care about the people that I'm seeing like live or whatever.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, they'll eventually find it, just like how they found YouTube and how it's like a big thing now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a household name one day. And I'm starting to see people who I haven't spoken to since I was like 15, 16 years old. And they're like finding my channel just by happenstance. And it's just, I think that's going to happen more and more, where people that you happen to know certain parts in your life are coming in because they're just exploring Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just letting it happen naturally, I think. But I do talk about Twitch, and when people ask me about it, I'm not going to refrain from telling them what it is.
Yeah.
But
it'll be interesting to see that like shift of when we don't have to, when you don't have to do the spiel and explain the gaming context anymore one day. If and when one day Twitch is just a place that people come to for live streaming content versus, the world's biggest online gaming community, it will be interesting to see like that shift happen. We're in sort of a strange place right now with that.
Yeah,
shift.
it's like an in-between right now. As far as like Twitch becoming a home brand name or whatever you said, they just recently, I know I saw someone post on Twitter of like the Amazon boxes that with their like custom tape.
The Fire
someone posted
or something. Fire TV or
something like that. But like the tape that they actually seal the boxes with has like different, information about Amazon and stuff. Someone recently posted a tweet that was like, "Hey Twitch, we made it on the tape." And it was like talking about Twitch Prime and watch all these things live and blah, blah, blah. So that's definitely a step to getting people to actually know about it. Whether or not people actually look at the tape, I don't know. But it definitely catches an eye.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of cool. Like Twitch, that doesn't actually hop in my brain a lot, but we do have kind of like a rich uncle, I guess, with Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it just gets concerning if it's driving priorities. If the rich uncle is driving priorities more than the what's generating the content, thus generating the revenue.
Yeah.
You're not the favorite niece, It's
Yeah, you know what? But I would say that I think that Twitch has really delivered, though, as far as stuff that's usable, that there's a demand for, that's needed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They seem to do like the raid commands and different types of like monetization stuff. Like I'd say Twitch has definitely looked at like organically, how is our community interacting and how can we support that interaction? At the same time, sometimes I do get concerned when really vital things get overlooked, like the messaging system,
Yeah.
stuff like that, while other monetization stuff is pushed forward. That's when I get a little concerned about Rich Uncle.
Yeah, I was watching the company Epiphan. They make like video encoders and stuff, and I was watching some of their stuff, and they had like the Future of Twitch episode, and I was just kind of watching it from a company that makes the equipment to live stream and video production stuff. And I was just curious how they saw Twitch, right? They don't really stream. They're not like, actively in stuff, but they make the products that we use. Like it could be a little encoder or a huge, big thing. And some of the stats that they said, it was like, they're like, there's a lot of people that use Twitch daily. There's however many million, there's like 23 million people streaming, on Twitch, and the audience is huge, but they said it's the second most streamed service on the internet.
It's the second
Netflix.
largest, and it's the second largest provider of video content next to YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
it is massive.
Yeah. So, and they said like the average time that people spend on Twitch, per user is like an hour and a half a day, and they were like, "Oh wow, that's a lot. That's like watching TV." And it was fun to see. I don't want to say they were like older guys, that were like, "Oh wow, that's kind of cool," and how do they do it? And it was, it is catching the eye of like companies and.
Well, think about it. Like when you go to a restaurant, we were at a bar or at a restaurant. I forget where we were, but we were watching TV, and my husband was like, "Huh." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Well, we've been sitting here for like, I feel like 10 or 15 minutes, and all we've seen is ads this whole time."
Yeah.
And you think about it, you're paying your cable company so that then you can watch these channels that then you just are watching ads.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even watch TV anymore. Like that's
No,
what
me
it
neither.
is.
That's why we were so surprised. We were sitting there, we're like, "Oh my gosh, look at the garbage that people sit through that's going on in their house passively, constantly
Like
or whatever."
TV.
And like the thing is that now online content is becoming more and more popular. So I feel like cable companies are forced to try to get more ad revenue from these advertisers.
Mm-hmm.
But
so it might be.
I'm concerned with the net neutrality stuff. Honestly, I'm concerned also with how strange the numbers have been lately. I feel like every stream I go to is buffering constantly. Everything's been really kind of goofed up
I've
on
had people saying that
that
about
could go
mine.
away so easy. It's so fragile, this whole revolution of
Mm-hmm.
of the internet, of breaking this industry of having to sit and watch ads. But if your stream's buffering all the time, cable companies really want to mess it up. They want a piece of the pie. I feel like. I feel like just
on a side positive note, though, I was talking to some office buddies that I have, and they're like, "Yeah, I had no idea Twitch had such a huge music community, and I'd rather listen to music, and I'd rather listen to live performers while I'm working, because they usually watch gamers and they're there for the conversation and kind of just the
Yeah.
background noise.
Yeah.
But if it could be musical, which is what they do anyway, they're like, I'd rather turn off my Spotify
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just listen to that. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
it's kind of a growing thing now. More and more people are discovering the music community. A lot of my friends actually have been watching gamers on Twitch that I'm now turning on to the music community because now they know it exists. And I think that's really my only main thing is I don't think, and I don't know if it's because the community is not big enough, but there's not a lot of spotlight for the music community per se, at least not yet.
Mhm. It's obviously been on Twitch for a while, but Twitch, and you look at the amount of people that are streaming gaming, even to IRL, it is like a little niche thing, but with a little push in certain directions or visibility stuff, it could be, you take half of the people that watch video games and just say, put music in front of their face one day while they're browsing.
Jennifer Jess
with
a raid.
What?
Dude, thank you so much for that raid.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I want to tell everybody who's raiding from Jennifer Jess's stream, thank you. But Jennifer Jess and I are playing a show together in Atlanta, Georgia. We are, yeah. So if any of you guys are in the area or want a vacation for, I think it's like the Memorial Day weekend, you guys should totally come out and hang out with us. I'm trying to invite as many Twitch people. I know a lot of you guys.
Weekend?
Yeah, it's May. It's in May.
Hey, let me look it up and I'll give them the dates.
That's really cool.
So yeah, that's going to be fun. And I'm trying to invite everybody who lives off Creamy Beige. I know Dr. Zoll lives in Georgia. There's far more streamers that I'm not naming off the top of my head, but
that's really,
guys
really,
I see
really
Cinco
cool.
de Mayo. I don't see where it is.
I thought it was. I told someone Happy Cinco de Mayo the other day because it was March 5th, and I'm like, yeah, Happy Cinco de Mayo, and they're like,
oh my gosh.
I didn't know what was happening. I'm like, it's.
That's why you were happy to go back to Pennsylvania,
I
huh?
was like, it's Cinco de Mayo today, and I'm like, wow, our neighborhood's really quiet. Usually Cinco de Mayo, there's like parties and it's crazy. I'm like, wow, it's not raining. It's quiet today. But.
Well, it is interesting though. Like we were having this conversation about, the community and the size of the community, and it is growing and it is gaining traction and it's doing really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
But you never know how long it's going to take for something to really kick off.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you never know, is this really the best place to be for what I'm doing? I know these are my people here. I know I love this platform the most, but I wonder, how are things going to pick up at Mixer?
Mm-hmm.
How are things going to pick up once people are a little more familiar with YouTube Live? Is YouTube going to be a better community for live music? How are we going to shift our, and how are people going to shift with the viewership? Because the way I'm seeing it right now, generally speaking, folks who can incorporate some sort of video game aspect to their music and their repertoire can get pretty darn, popular, go viral on Reddit, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Just like regular old Steph who sings my little acoustic things, I don't know how much of a market and I'm grateful for what I have, but longevity, somebody building, Raquel, you're doing the live gigging thing. You're out there constantly, still doing live things as well as the internet. You've got that. But if you're doing it solely online, it's like, well, do I diversify? Do I change my content? Like, where do I go?
Yeah.
I
don't see Twitch slowing down at all.
Mm-hmm.
Over the next couple of years. I could see competition coming in for sure. Mixer, it'll have some buzz and a lot of people will go there because maybe they don't think it's as saturated. But I think it's safer to go where there's more viewers. Facebook has a lot, but I know they're trying to push that too. That's another thing. But, Twitch already has how many million people all over the world that are integrated into their system, and if that's the thing, like the more music streamers that come in, like Raquel, within like the last year and a half, it's like the talent's increasing like crazy. There's some really good musicians coming on, that I think is gonna, it keeps building up that little, our little community, and it'll, Twitch, like I was gonna mention this at the end, but they've been like putting front page stuff, like the spotlights.
They've been featuring a lot of musicians on front page and doing a lot for that. Yeah.
And that just like the past couple of months, they've been asking us like, well, what do you guys think? What could we do? Or, so they know it's a potentially other thing that could bring people to Twitch, not just gaming.
Oh yeah.
So
I will say though, YouTube is really, in my opinion, I'm not a huge YouTuber or anything, but I do upload vlog, music videos and covers, even before I was on Twitch. And I got turned off on a platform like that because they're taking away monetary rights for smaller streamers like myself, or streamers, smaller video uploader people, content creators, broadcasters,
video uploader people.
And it's really turned me off to that because I'm like, well, what about me? I know I'm tiny, but like I still matter, and I'm still trying to build my audience. And what's the point if I'm like just doing this? Like, there's no reward for me.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to police that much content, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Whereas Twitch is like, I feel like it's always going to be. I don't think we'd ever have to worry about a loss of audience because of competitor platforms, because first of all, I feel like Twitch has been around for a while and has been steadily growing.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I think there's always going to be a base audience in Twitch, and whether or not X amount of people will jump back and forth, like I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. But I think Twitch is pretty safe in that there's always going to be this community of people that just prefers Twitch above the rest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
There's a certain higher context of understanding in Twitch where it's almost like I would like to invite some people to come watch my quote shows, but I don't know if they'll really understand like the context of, you know what I mean? Like when people come in and throw up a certain type of emote.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The first time
they
is
might,
always
they might even get
interesting.
offended. You know what I mean? They might even see something and get offended, like a
They
Pepe
see
the
the-
Frog or something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
What's that all about?
there's a very different culture of Twitch that, I don't know if I would feel I enjoy and take part of, and that's why I come here. But I don't know if I would necessarily want any old person to come to my. You know what I mean?
pretty-
How do I put this?
In
I don't know if I
comparison,
want.
though, it's pretty positive. Like, I mean, very rarely will I go into a chat and it's like, oh wow, this is
Toxic.
terrible.
Yeah.
Although I will say, when I first started on Twitch, I mean, even before I started on Twitch, I was always trying to figure out how to get my nerdy side to synergize with like my musical side. And I'm like, where do you find those kinds of people that'll get my humor and get my sarcasm? And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Twitch is like I found Twitch and I was like, hallelujah.
Yeah.
These are my people. So
Yeah.
I feel fortunate in that that's the kind of audience it has. But I totally get what you're saying, RGS, how you just, I don't know. I guess it depends on the kind of person that is watching your content at the end of the day.
And it's interesting because you're just RaquelLily. You know what I mean? Like RaquelLily, the live musician somebody might see performing around Alabama, RaquelLily, that whatever. And so like anybody at any given time could just jump in.
Right.
And it is one of those things where it's like we as broadcasters in that type of situation, like you're being very vulnerable in that setting.
Absolutely.
Because anybody who's watched your stream knows that you are unabashedly, like completely unapologetically you, and you might be drinking some beer, you might be doing whatever, having a good chill time.
Yeah.
And that's all cool. It's like, it's very cool to see that you can just like be yourself and people will show up. But I think it takes a lot of courage and being willing to put yourself out there.
Yeah, like someone asked me that before because my name is Dan Stone. Like that's not a big secret. But I've been in the music industry and I've played, I've toured, and played on records as me. There's pictures out there of me. There's videos like you're using your real name. I'm like, like
I know, right?
anybody with a phone could be like drummer named Dan, what? And you know, like
Yeah.
so you do feel very vulnerable once you're, you know, the musician aspect of it. If you're a performing musician, you do it there's no, you know, like
It's concerning when you've bought a house or your name's on a mortgage.
yeah.
Somebody can find your address literally because how easy is it to stay on top of all these identity revealing sites? You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
go to the site, whatever. Raquel, how did you navigate that kind of identity sort of thing on Twitch, you know?
Well, I pretty much had this brand of RaquelLily since I started pursuing my whole singer-songwriter thing. So I don't know, it's not really a concern. It's a stage name, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll tell my friends or people that like people that know me, but I will come find you and cut you up.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, well, like it is, you know, it's something that in the professional world, like I didn't really worry about, you know, people trying to like find me if they saw me at a concert, you know. But the more popular you get and the more, you know, like really popular bands, lead singers I know are terrified of that. They're like, am I going to go get my mail and someone's going to be out there? And it is kind of creepy. But then to be, you know, in a larger ecosystem of people. So yeah, being safe.
Yeah, I'm just rolling with the punches and kind of piggybacking off of that. It's great when I'm streaming my live shows because I have two different audiences. It's like I feel like Twitch is like my inside joke, close friends. Everybody knows like what I've been doing all week, how I've been practicing these songs, and all my friends are showing up to my gig. But then there's like the audience that doesn't really know me, doesn't know my personality. When people meet me, they're like intimidated because they think I'm like just, I don't know. I guess I dress really girly, so that people think I'm like not approachable, or I don't know what it is. But it's funny how differently people perceive me in real life versus Twitch. When people come meet me for the first time in person from Twitch, they already kind of know what to say and the kind of banner because like they've been hanging out with me for weeks and weeks.
Yeah. Well, one thing I noticed at TwitchCon is, and you mentioned it earlier, how you kind of came out of your shell a little bit, but you're very confident on, you know, in your performances and in your, you know, just on stream. Like I would have never guessed that you know, that you were in a shell, you know, like you're very just, this is me. And if you don't like it, I don't care. Which is it's a good attitude. Yeah.
Probably use more F-bombs than that, but yeah, something like that, Dan. But yeah, I would say what really helped me out of my shell is I mentioned before how I was in a metal band and I performed in a few metal bands when I was growing up. And when you're in a metal band, like it's just raw emotion. You're screaming in front of a bunch of people. And I was a very angsty kid. I went through my emo phase and then I went straight right into metal. So I grew up really shy. My parents, I'd say, like, and my brother, I am the youngest. So, and my brother's brilliant. He's a freaking genius. And my parents are also really good singers. I would hate practicing in front of them. So I always felt very overshadowed, which kind of made me slightly introverted growing up.
Yeah.
But really, music is what broke me out of that shell, particularly screaming for a metal band. And
That'll
I kind of just
it.
developed this like screw you attitude, like something that's kind of carried on into my adulthood, I'd say.
Yeah.
The unapologetic side of Raquel that you guys see.
Yeah, but you can tell in your performances, you know, there are the people that perform, and you know, I notice it. It's like you can always tell when there's that self-conscious sometimes when you see a performance. You know, even if it's really good, you can say, well, they're nervous or they're second guessing it. But I never have gotten that, you know, with what you do. Or like the first time
That's
I saw
awesome.
you, I was
Thank
like,
you.
man, she's amazing. Like you just did it.
Thank you.
And comes across in your streams too. So it's
easy to be confident, but I don't think it's easy to be confident and actually genuine at the same time. You know what I mean? Which would have it be an authentic performance and a confident performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're right. She like nails it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
It's impressive.
And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because Samuel Tucker Young, who's in chat right now, shout out. He came up to me after that live performance at TwitchCon. He's like, dude, your performance was just so polished. Like you could tell that you're professional and you do this all the time. And that's exactly what it is. It's because I do this, like I do this all the time. I'm always performing in front of people. So for me to get up in front of all those people in that auditorium and perform in front of that many people online, it's like muscle memory kicks in. And because I've been training, playing in front of these kids at these schools on tour, it just that's just the way I am. And I'd say that's like the one benefit of me having done so many live performances is it truly does become a part of you. How can it not?
Yeah. That's
well,
so
and
true.
you continue to improve and people get to see that too. And that's really inspiring because it's like, well, it can be difficult when you're starting from not much.
Totally. And I'll show
Oh,
I show a
nice.
video on stream. I have it every now and then for people that'll come in and say, "Oh, I'm nervous" or whatever. And I have the first performance I ever did in front of my high school talent show, and I show them, and I look
nice.
like, I'm like white face, just looking down, like barely moving, and I'm like terrified. So it does come with practice. You're 100%
Even just being
right.
a confident speaker, even just being a confident speaker and broadcaster in general, and I feel like that helps people grow in a lot of ways outside of just streaming. You know?
In college, I did. People are like, do you regret going to college and pursuing a degree that's outside of your profession now? And I would say wholeheartedly no. First of all, like I gained a lot of grit from just living on my own and just throwing yourself in a situation where you're just completely uncomfortable. You don't know anyone.
Yeah.
Nobody knows you. No one cares about you. How do you make yourself relevant in such a situation? And I actually started playing open mics while I was in Miami when I was in college down there. And that's the reason why I'm doing music, is because I've always written songs, but I was never at the time confident enough to perform it in front of people. Well, I started performing in front of my friends and they're like, Raquel, you should really play for this open mic. And when I first started out, it was just me and an acoustic guitar, and I would sit down in a chair and wouldn't even look at the audience. I was just a nervous wreck. Could not make eye contact with anyone, just very soft-spoken, would not belt or anything. And just the fact that people in the audience were so supportive of what I was doing just kind of encouraged me to keep doing that and doing that. And I still get nervous sometimes to this day, depending on what it is. But for the most part, it's kind of, I've just done it so much that it became a part of me. But there was absolutely a time where I wasn't this confident and I was stuck in my shell. And it wasn't that long ago. It was in college.
Yeah.
It's always practice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You just got to practice. Everyone practice dropping mics. Just in your room, just and that feels so good to be like.
No,
All
seriously,
$200, baby.
2 hours here, 2 hours there on a stream. You get that instant feedback. People are receptive to what you're offering, and then you leave having practiced and had a good time.
Yeah,
that's it's pretty cool. Twitch it's a great model for people experienced and unexperienced.
Yeah, I have actually gotten substantially better just because I essentially force myself to practice all the time because I'm streaming in front of everyone. And when I stream, it's not as casual. I'm really performing for, 3 or so hours. And I'm trying to play these songs to the best of my ability. Whereas before Twitch, I would just, pull Ultimate Guitar or something, try and learn a song. And I wouldn't really have pressure on myself to finish the whole thing or learn the bridge per se. But having an audience kind of push you, like you could do it, or tell you, your finger needs to be on the E here, or like kind of watch what you're doing. It kind of lights a fire.
Yeah. Or come back and keep requesting it.
Right. And inherently, because of the process of just you performing and people requesting and you just repeating, you learn songs, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
Another thing I've been doing recently was doing learning streams, which is kind of new to me. I've been doing it this past month and the reception is great. I never thought that my Twitch audience would want to watch me fail so much at a song.
I was say because you do live learns too on Twitch. This is something that you pick, right? Like songs that you want to work on.
Yes. So my learning streams are usually like in the afternoon where I'd be practicing anyway. I'm like, why don't I just stream this? I'm sure people would appreciate the extra time online. And turns out like it's been pretty awesome. Where I will have a song list that I want to learn, some challenging songs, some new chords I want to learn, some, just whatever it is that I've really not worked on before. And I'm doing it in front of a live audience. And it's, it's embarrassing and it's vulnerable, but I've gotten better. Absolutely. Just because of the pressure.
Yeah, that's it is one thing that like I want to do this summer is like do some different things on stream. But at first when you get these ideas, it's always like, should I do that? Is this a bad idea? Is it gonna, like how are people gonna respond?
I understand that. Yeah.
But then
you always want to present yourself in like the best light possible.
Yeah. But
people on Twitch are gonna love you anyway.
Yeah.
Or they'll be really honest and tell you it didn't work. That's why I like Twitch. Because they're not gonna lie to you. You know what I mean? It's not your grandma on Facebook. You did a great job, Danny. You're doing. Broccoli Dick 420, who's gonna tell you sound stupid if you do. You know what I mean? That's why I love Twitch.
Is that name taken?
They hold me accountable. It's nice. I like it I appreciate it as a musician too. I feel like they challenge me.
Was the name that came off the top of your head Rock My Dick 420?
No, Broccoli Dick 420.
I'm sorry.
Actual
I heard
viewer.
that so wrong.
always my example name. When I'm using an example name, or Rainbow Butt Blast. That's a great one. There's just a lot of. This is why I love this place. Hi.
Yeah. You find the best names on Twitch. It's great.
Yeah, man. Seriously.
That's where people should go to find band names. Is just go in a Twitch chat. RAQ,
my dick, 420.
I am excited because like coming up at the end of this month, we are going to actually have an entertainment lawyer on.
Yeah.
His name is RaquelLily. He does this podcast called Break the Business. And he wrote his thesis on like copyright law, Weird Al parody stuff. But anyway, he's going to join us and he's going to talk about the state of like copyright, fair use, how much we're covered, the state of what we're doing here in the Wild West.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
The
cover songs and stuff.
This unspoken worry that we all have,
Mm-hmm. That's been going around on tweets too. The terms of service have not really changed, but people are paying more attention to them now because Twitch brought attention to them and has been so diligent in explaining that they will enforce them fairly and be transparent about it, blah, blah. But, there are a lot of folks that either don't know much about music or it has raised questions because people are saying, wait a second, I want to do this content. I don't want to go against terms of service. They either don't want to get kicked off, have their account, have issues with their account, or probably set a bad example too to other broadcasters and say, this is what we can be doing. Mm-hmm. So it will be nice to talk to him and unpack that. Let him look at what is right now and tell us like, where we are with what we're doing, because that is a concern I have. And I probably talk about it like every podcast and people are probably annoyed by it that I'm always like copyright stuff, but you guys copyright stuff, but you guys, but seriously, you guys, how much of our content is in our own music?
Yeah, we all deal with it and we all know in the back of our head that this isn't ours, but it's like Raquel, like you can go out and play a live performance and play a song,
but the venue knows she's going to play it though.
And the venue has certain license for them to be able to actually perform covers. So it's definitely strange as far as, because I don't know if there's actually like a license that Twitch can get right now, because it's a live performance, but it's also a video performance.
Yeah, that's been saved after the fact.
So it's
fluctuating audience. There's not a venue occupancy limit or tickets sold.
Yeah.
So it's what is going to be the precedent on this?
So if people listening and guys in chat, like there's some amazing music streamers in chat already. If you have questions, like we've asked before, for you guys to submit questions, but like honestly, if there is just like a thing you say, hey, what if I do this on stream, or what about this? We're letting you guys know now, because this is going to be the end of May 30th?
Into March.
Oh, yeah. It's not Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
Oh, no. I won't be able to catch
Cinco
it.
de
I'm
Mayo.
in May. I don't know what's happening.
No, it's March 30th. Yeah. And he's really excited to talk to us about it, too, because he's an artist advocate. He's very, pro artist and representing people, and, always breaking down these very complicated concepts. So I think it'll be really, really cool. We would appreciate the discussion.
Yeah. So, you guys can hit us up in Discord or on Twitter, each one of us individually, whatever you way that you can get in touch with us to ask questions. We'll compile everything. And it's a really good chance to take advantage of a professional person, because I know if I have a contract or something and have to go to a lawyer, that's a lot of money, and it sucks. Like, just to know, okay, I got 30 minutes now, I gotta get everything out, but if we can
Plus,
prepare a little bit.
there's conflicting guidelines. TOS says no copyrighted material, and then then there's the language that's like the focus, which some people are taking that word focus and saying, well, you mean all of my streams can't be about this?
Yeah.
Or the focus at the time, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Plus,
there's clarification needed.
Yeah, and he's an entertainment lawyer.
He's an entertainment lawyer, teacher, author, artist advocate guy. Pretty awesome guy. Break the Business is his podcast.
Yeah.
I found out about it at a TwitchCon panel from another music streamer. I had asked a question to Scene of Action. And afterwards, she came up to me and she was like, you've got to check this guy out. And I did. And I thought, well, with all this terms of service stuff coming up and people starting to invigorate the discussion on it, it might be nice to have this resource. This might be good.
Yeah.
I think another thing that's important to mention is that, like, there's a lot of people that are saying, okay, like, nothing's changed. You can keep doing what you want. But the thing is that now Twitch has made a focus on, we're enforcing these now. Like, we're actually enforcing them. So, like, karaoke streams aren't allowed. That's always been a rule. And, there's people who say, oh, you can do them. Everyone else does them, but that doesn't make it safe. You're still opening yourself up to get banned or to get a DMCA takedown. So it's without good authority. I wouldn't really say, I wouldn't really tell someone, everyone else is doing it. You're fine. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, no one else is getting banned. You won't get banned. Like, you can't actually say that, because it's like an unknown thing. We haven't really gotten through like a wave of them enforcing the TOS yet. So it's like right now we're waiting. It's like the calm before the storm to see what actually happens. And we do have Twitch staff that is working with us and talking with us and making sure that we aren't completely cut off as well. So they're trying, but they also have to set these ground rules, because like they're putting themselves in like an uncredible situation as well.
Yeah.
So it's important.
Yeah.
Don't give wrong information if you don't specifically know.
Yeah. It's going to be a really cool conversation. It's going to be, even not for Twitch, but like YouTube, like if you put a cover on YouTube or all that.
It also raises the question for like brand new streamers. I see a lot of brand new streamers popping up and just doing pulling up YouTube backing tracks. And that is like the focus, and it's like, do you want to build your stream off of content that might not be sustainable?
Yeah.
And are there other alternatives like, karaoke games, etc., like that people could use? Because I would really wouldn't want to have to build my stream on stuff that's not technically.
Yeah. Well,
With
that's
the
what,
content,
like,
you know?
I talked with my chat because I, take songs and just drum along to them. And I use Spotify or YouTube, but I'm going to take that off, like I don't need that video up there. I just need, I just could play along to the audio and stuff. But, it's that same thing. Like I said, I want to start doing new content that isn't just all based around that because, that those aren't my songs, and I could easily write, a bunch of stuff to play along to or, so it is something that I am preparing for, even if it's okay, and I'm allowed to do it, I'm like, I'll still play along to music, but I want to have a backup, of, content that, is okay if something like that arises.
And that's why we're also wondering, like, well, where does fair use come in and how much does fair use cover?
Mm-hmm.
People are playing derivative content and games, but talking over it. You know what I mean? So how much of that could be applicable to music as well?
Mm-hmm.
But Nick with an H raises a good point. It goes, it's great to have covers. I've been writing music for decades, but somebody else getting paid for that when I do not, that's something else. And that's exactly the thing. Is there ever going to be an agreement with the performing rights organizations? Will there ever be a system for us to do covers in a kosher manner?
Mm-hmm.
How's that process going to look for us one day, so that we can make sure that our content's sustainable.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see if Twitch actually gives us a way, like how YouTube does. They literally have a search bar for like revenue sharing songs and stuff like that, and songs that are going to require you to give give your revenue to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how, if Twitch does go into getting licenses for us to actually perform covers, how exactly they're going to do it. Because especially for us, like, we go by request. It's going to take time if we have to go through every single
Do we
stream
submit
and
a
say,
log?
yeah.
Is there a system? Yeah, that's a great point.
It's definitely pressuring me to write more original music. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Which is cool because, like, a big reason why I like Twitch is because it's a huge platform for me to showcase my originals.
Mm-hmm.
Has never been a thing before. So despite all the restrictions on like covers and whatnot, I think it's still a good platform to showcase what you have as a music creator, if you will.
Yeah.
One of the things, like, and I see it in chats, everyone's heard certain songs a million times, right? Like, we've all heard everyone on all music streamers on Twitch have sang "Fix You" by Coldplay or whatever. We all heard it and we all love it. We're all like, man, this is great. This is such a good song. Yeah, you did great.
Break out the Bible thumps.
Yeah. But when you guys perform like your original songs, that's when, people go crazy. And I'm not, it's really awesome. But let's say you go to, perform at a coffee shop and you're playing covers and you're like, I'm going to throw an original in there. From my experience with playing with people, it's like people's attention is like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, right?
I don't
In a
know
coffee
that
shop,
song.
nobody wants, I've never heard this one before.
Yeah, and it's just like the ecosystem and people are there to hear certain things. But on Twitch, it's like the reverse of that. Like Raquel, when you play one of your songs or Steph, it's like chat's like, oh yes, oh I love this one, this is so good, and people are like, oh wow, an original. It's just like this little spark that ignites, and it's not that you like the covers you guys are doing aren't good, but it's like people are genuinely interested to hear that unique thing from you that they can just hear on your channel.
I think it's something that's always I think it's something that overlaps in like real life versus Twitch. Not that they're both, any different.
There is no spoon.
Yeah, no. But it's always a challenge as an up and coming original artist.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get people interested in your original music? And you're absolutely right, Dan. It depends on the venue. It depends on the crowd. But I think that's just a challenge that people have had since the beginning of writing music is, they know these covers, but like, why should they care about you? And I think Twitch is different in that they get to know your personality. People are interested in your life all of a sudden. And I think with that is like, people become interested in your original music intrinsically because, well, they want to get to know more about you, and they're here for you,
Yeah.
and they're here for your personality.
That's interesting.
It's just
Live
another
is a
layer
little
of
bit-
you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what part of your emotions are they
Yeah.
able to reach from you performing this in front of them?
Mhm.
But I think that kind of happens like during my live shows as well, especially at these college gigs where sometimes they don't even advertise that I'm going to be there. It's not exactly the setting that's in my control. If I book a show that's, so there's two different shows. There's like my college gigs, which is booked by my booking agency, my college booking agency. And then there are the shows that I book. So the
Mhm.
shows that I book tend to be more original heavy.
Mhm.
And then the college shows, I play half originals, half covers. And I think for me, like when I get to these colleges, especially if the kids don't even know that I'm going to be there, or they're just like, surprise, here's a performer, and it really hasn't been advertised. The way I've always been able to reel people in is play, a cover that you make your own.
Mhm.
And that's how you garner their attention. And sometimes I don't even announce that I'm playing an original.
Mhm.
And I'll say it after the fact. But
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like, it depends on your audience. You just really have to read it. That, at least in my experience, you just really have to pay attention to people's micro expressions, how you capture them with maybe making eye contact, maybe not making eye contact. It's like a math equation. It's a complicated math equation.
I'd venture to say a little is supply and demand too. Like
Right.
if you're in a real life setting, there's only one musician right there listening to, and whoa, she's playing this song that I know, and we can all jam to it, and this is a great moment. Versus I'm playing something on the internet. This person wanted to hear whatever. He could go look it up, or she could go look it up, or whatever. But there's only one me on the internet right now
Right.
playing my own stuff.
Mhm.
So I do get that. I also feel like a lot of the audience on Twitch Music is overlapped to a lot of other musicians, and a lot of
Right.
us cover a lot of the same stuff too. So
Mhm.
it's like, you hear a lot of the same pop songs, but then it's like, well, this is fresh, this is new, and
Mhm.
only this person can do this. And it's like
Yeah.
completely your truest, most authentic voice. And for me, I just sound best singing my own stuff.
Yeah. But it's fun to
like-
see you guys get excited too when you get to perform your original. You're like, oh, okay, yeah. this
It'll
is
never
on.
get old.
It's cool.
Seeing my Rio bot, like launching it and then have it original come in like that.
Yeah.
That is like the best feeling in the world. It's like, man, people come here, or seeing my view count spike during an original performance and stuff like that is just like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's well deserved though for you guys too. Like
Feels good.
because you guys write great stuff. But that's the thing though. It's what's happening with Twitch. Like there's really good artists here. It's not like there's new musicians coming in and they're just like, oh man, this is not good. I honestly can't tell you a music stream that I've been in where I was like, this shouldn't be happening. Like, this is not good,
really?
And, well, maybe
It's
I'm
nice.
just.
That's how I felt earlier today.
Steph, you were in my stream.
You were in mine.
Oh, yeah. No, but it's like, if the people that are streaming music are like, I think I have something here, or this could be cool. So like you generally find talent, and
Yeah.
and
I
it
agree.
and people like you said, you get better at it, and because you're working at your music, and it's fun to see that progression. And like songs, like with what you do, Steph, like you changing originals throughout.
Oh, I
a
change them all the
year.
time.
Yeah, and and you
Yeah.
hear Raquel, like your versions, stripped down acoustic, or if you have Jacob there, with a band or something. It's like people like to hear that. Like, oh wow, that sounded really cool, or when you use that guitar or that effect. I don't know. It's interesting.
Right.
How does that change your studio approach, Raquel? Because like when a couple streams was on, I wasn't there to interview, but I did listen and lurk for a little bit. They were talking about, and I actually am so glad that they discussed this, because I was thinking this too, and they just sort of like verified what I was thinking. They were like, we want to start releasing music in shorter bursts, like smaller. They were talking about like smaller, like maybe singles, or just like smaller, more frequent releases, which I think makes total sense for the Twitch pace and everything. It totally makes sense. Who wants to wait a year for an album all the time? And then they also said like they want to release stuff that they haven't really played on stream, so that people don't already have an expectation based on the acoustic of what it's supposed to sound like. So I was kind of
supposed to.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're just hearing it one way, and then they hear the produced studio version, and it's like this is not, which I think that's brilliant. And I was actually thinking like, that's smart because it's like then you're able to sort of like preview stuff to people, or leverage it and show a different side of yourself, and then maybe show them the acoustics later. Have you changed your studio approach based on that kind of stuff? Have you considered that?
Yeah. So. Prior to Twitch, I've always produced all my stuff pretty full band. So I'd bring in a drummer, the bass, the guitar, keyboard, and do a full studio production. But ever since I've been on Twitch, there's kind of been a huge demand for like, hey, Raquel, do you have a version of like the movie stripped down without all the band stuff? And it's almost like we just want to focus on your lyrics and your voice. And I've never really had that that kind of feedback before, which is great because it's like, wow, you guys really want the intimate thing that you guys get on Twitch. So I'm actually trying to find time to do an acoustic album. And I never thought people would be interested in that. I thought maybe people would just want to listen to things that can compete with other things that are on Spotify, which are full band produced gold,
Yeah.
But yeah, it has. It's almost like, I don't want to say I took a step back, but there's never been this interest in my acoustic versions before, which I find really interesting because that tells you a lot about your audience and what they want and expect out of you.
Yeah. There's a lot of that on Twitch. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But what's great about it is on the flip side, when I do come out with songs, I could really hype it up to an audience that actually cares now versus just like, going on Facebook and telling my 20 friends.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well,
that is a pretty good point Bill made. He said, with the Spotify type services, you can just release a single. It changes the whole album release cycle. Like the whole industry is just shifting.
I don't know how you guys are, but like on New Music Fridays, when all the new stuff comes out, when I see a single, I'm like, oh, cool, I can quick listen to that. When an album comes out, I'm like, oh, when am I going to have time to listen to this?
Yeah.
So it is kind of nice sometimes when I just get like drip fed content at a certain pace. But it's
great that you say that though.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how a lot of people consume music nowadays, which is a big reason why I release singles, because I don't want you guys to wait a whole year for me to figure out my shit and
and with the internet, why should we?
Yeah.
Right. You could always turn the page and find somebody else that could fill that void.
I don't need to buy a CD anymore.
The Raquel void. It's like next. Okay, great. Here's another original song by so-and-so. Wonderful. And it's like, you don't want to lose audience members at the same time.
Yeah. Plus you can.
No, it makes sense.
The way that, I a lot of my friends will record something and then it'll be released like a year later and they're like, oh, that's not what it like they don't their taste changes in that amount of time. And they love sometimes not everybody, but this new format of like little EPs here and there, or 4 or 6 song things.
Or like Oh Wonder did a song a month for a while, and then it got huge doing a song a month.
Yeah, Wax Wayne is doing that on Twitch.
Yeah, he's doing a song a month for 24 months.
Yeah, and it's like, the way that you mix changes, the way that you write changes, how you're feeling one month or one day or whatever. Yeah. And that doesn't get represented sometimes by, a single artist on just like a big album, because you could have wrote it when you were grumpy or happy, and then it comes out and now you're happy or sad, or it changes. So
well, it's not limited resources. I don't have to, hope this record company will let me record 10 tracks because then we got to print it all.
Yeah.
Because you can't just print one track.
Mhm.
You know, we don't have to worry about that now.
Or it not getting released. You know,
Yeah.
a friend of mine got signed to a label. This is recently, last year. They're a great band. They recorded, and then the record label sat on it for probably 5 to 6 months before they released it. And everyone's like,
When you're all excited
Yeah.
to probably
everyone
about it, you
knew that they had gotten signed and they recorded. It's like, when are we going to hear it? And they're like, it's not ours to give out, you know? So it eventually did, and it's awesome. But it's like,
Iron Beetle says, I'm an album guy. It's like a good book. I agree.
mhm.
Albums
I
still
agree.
hold weight for sure.
They do. Absolutely. But for an up and coming artist who might need to, you know, also for those sorts of tiers like monthly Patreon stuff and things like that, for artists that are consistently, you know, don't have that kind of support to just make a big product, or just want to be able to, like, you know, Raquel talking about with Twitch, it's important to have a schedule and release. Well, it's the same thing with releasing online content. On YouTube, they tell you the same thing. Release
Yeah.
a video a week, or release, you know, every Wednesday, do something, or whatever. That consistency for like for a building artist, I feel like that seems like a really great internet model.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think though, an album is a way for you to show your. I have so many people ask me all the time, like, what's your musical style like? And it's so hard for you as an individual. Like, I don't know how hard it is for you guys to be like, yeah, I'm this. Well, I finally come up with a term. I just
I'm
say
just a
indie R&B.
drummer, so that's
Yeah.
that's easy.
What do you say? What do you say that you are?
I say indie R&B because then
I
it
was thinking of saying
encompasses-
folk punk for me.
Yeah,
Indie
So
R&B. That I like it. That's a great one.
Mhm.
you know, like it just
Yeah.
encompasses all elements that are indie. Which, yeah, I'm doing all this like recording, all this songwriting by myself, and it's not pure R&B in the sense where it's like, you know, like Brian McKnight stuff. But then you've got the R&B component where you could kind of allude to soul, jazz, R&B, like that kind of
Yeah.
genre feel. So, what's great about being an independent artist, and I have so many people that come into my chat that are like, why isn't she signed yet? Why isn't she on The Voice?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
I don't want that.
yeah, no, you don't necessarily want that. And I know that's popular opinion because that's just part of pop culture.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
just there's so much power in the internet right now, and really, if you do it right and you garner an audience and there are people that are wanting your product, I
It
think
could be a
that's-
bad deal to go to a
Yeah.
label.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we were talking about Patreon girl. What's her name?
Amanda Palmer.
Amanda Palmer. She's not signed, and she's built this whole empire to herself. And she
Yeah.
gets to keep. Guess what? She gets to keep all
She
the
gets to
merch
keep
money.
it, and her
All-
publishing rights and
Exactly.
everything. But for her to get there, even though she did have a following and did work, she was on a label for a while.
Right.
But at the same time, there have been stories of artists that I mentioned it on another podcast, a YouTuber that wrote an article that was like, I took she was a really popular YouTuber, did original music. And she's like, I took an album deal and it was the worst decision I could have ever made.
yeah.
Like the freedom that you give up when you do that kind of thing. And then you owe money sometimes if you don't do as well, because they're going to market the way they want to in their vision. And
They need
You know
a
what I mean?
return.
Like-
Mhm. Yeah, I have a friend that's in this huge national, and he was talking about how, you know, they were selling merch all summer, touring all summer. And they're like, yeah, I haven't seen any of that money yet.
Yeah.
I think so-and-so, like, I think my record label's pulling some shady shit.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like, dude, it shouldn't be a surprise to you that they own your name. Like, they
Yeah.
just,
Mhm.
that, and it's like, I hate to break it to you, not that I know better than you, because I'm obviously not signed, but I make every cent of my merch on my online store because I'm running it, sending it to people, making the product. But you can't say the same for people who are signed to a label because they literally own your name. Like RaquelLily wouldn't be mine. They would have the rights to put my face on a t-shirt and
all
not
your
even-
masters,
Right.
and all of every, yeah.
and like not even get my approval. And to me, that's frightening because I'm a control freak when it comes to my art.
Yeah.
I like to be part of the entire process, as you guys can imagine.
Well, you're doing really well. You just got a sponsorship with a major audio company.
Yes,
You know,
thank you.
that's-
Yeah.
That's just a testament to this new, just how new
It's
media
new
is
frontier.
changing. you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. And they
You're pretty
sponsored me
good,
based
kid.
on yeah, like, and it's because of Twitch that I got that sponsorship.
It's amazing.
And it's not because I had some like shiny record label that vouched for me. No, it was all because They came into my community, saw that they liked what I was doing, and was like, yeah, okay, sure, yes, we like
That's
you.
awesome.
And there's so much more to be said about that versus like having your numbers pumped by some stupid label.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Organic
And
growth-
Ryan's going to explain that stuff. A lot of his book is about that too, about those record deals and how people can end up touring their butts off and doing all this stuff, you know, get it on the radio, getting top 40 and still end up like in debt.
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh,
represented a lot of
absolutely.
people, I think, and kind of helped people through those types of contracts. And so the insight, I just can't wait to have a conversation with him. And
Yeah. Here,
all this.
I do hate to be the bad guy. I don't want to edit too long of an episode. And then also, speaking of lawyers, I have a lawyer and a realtor coming here that I have to sign papers. We talked earlier. But Raquel, really quick, what are your future plans on Twitch for like this year? Anything special coming
Sure.
up that you would like to?
Well, I'm definitely trying to work on trying to integrate more of my live band shows. I think that's something that isn't really touched upon on Twitch. Like I haven't really seen a lot of people do it. So I'd like to integrate that more.
Mm-hmm.
But also I'm trying to figure out a way where I could take this entire music community and make it a bigger thing for TwitchCon. So I'm trying to develop some ideas about how to like make maybe like a Twitch fest. I think that'd be really freaking cool.
That's a very cool idea.
I
dig
think
that.
I think there's a lot of people who, and if I know like when I played the talent show, it was a big concern for people to play original music, especially the people with the backing tracks. They had to find people that they could sign, you know, a contract saying, this is my original work. You could use it to dance to. And I think it wouldn't be a problem because there's so many Twitch musicians, Richie, you know, you guys write tons of original music. And there was such a demand for like a festival setting last year at TwitchCon that I felt like we could really benefit as a community.
Can we make a metal
some kind
band?
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, yeah,
Stone
that's
metal
great.
band.
I know there's been a lot of talk about that, and we should
Yeah.
all definitely combine efforts
Mhm.
across the board because I think there's
Oh,
a few-
and
a lot
yes,
of
and
it.
I just came out with a new music video. So if you guys have not seen
Really?
it,
No, I
people
haven't.
in chat, you should.
Can someone
Sam's-
post a link? Can we permit a link post?
I can
Yeah.
find it fast.
Yeah, we'd love to share it in the chat. And
Yeah, and Raquel, for the audio listeners and stuff, for people who don't know where to find you, or like your Twitch channel, Twitter, and YouTube, and all that, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I have a website, RaquelLily.com. But if you guys want to watch my stream, it's obviously twitch.tv/RaquelLily. You could also find me on Spotify. A big thing that I'm trying to accomplish here is getting more Spotify follows. When you're signed to a label, people don't realize the reason why these people are huge and famous already is because the label's kind of pumping your numbers. And I am a huge what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word, but I love organic growth. I think that's essentially what Twitch is doing for everybody here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you could follow me on Spotify, they'd be great because then that means I could play live shows in your community. The bigger I look on Spotify, the better it looks for bookers. You could also find me on anything from YouTube. I release videos, so I just released a new music video, which was funded completely by my Twitch audience. I did not pay a cent because
That's
I
awesome.
was so fortunate that people supported my idea. And you guys haven't watched it yet. You should because you helped me get there. So it's not only my video, it's yours as well.
People like to support good things.
congratulations on all your success.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you guys. And it
I'm
honestly
just texting
could
them. I'm going
not
to be a few minutes.
could
late, so.
not happen without you guys. I mean, Richie, RGS, you guys were some of the first streams that I've ever watched, and you absolutely inspired me to build everything that I have now. So I just want to personally thank you guys, and I think I've said that in person, but I want to let everyone know here that these guys are the pioneers of what we're doing. So if you guys aren't following them, and Dan, I just met you, but you're like one of the first drummer streams that I've ever followed, and it blew my mind when I found out that people stream drums. Like,
Yeah.
it's absolutely incredible how versatile people could could
Well,
the
even-
content that we're coming out with.
Yeah, like you said, these two down here are like the pioneers, but they've also like, they attracted a certain group of people that watch, viewer base. I think that have been around for a while, and that attracts even nicer people and nicer people, that I feel like I get to take advantage of off of what they've done in the past. Like for real, like
We're all
could've-
kicking butt.
Yeah, so the community, the viewers, everyone is it's just such a really cool place, and it's getting bigger and better. So
And
For
you're
sure.
making it bigger and better, Dan.
Yeah, all
But
of
you
us
got to
are.
go close on your house right now.
yeah,
So
it's a good
Yeah,
it's a good signing.
thank you
that I
guys
have
so
to
much
do.
for joining us today.
Yeah.
Next
Thank you
week
guys
we
for
got
having
Kawau
me.
TV. Next week we got Kawau TV. Week after that we got Jonathan Ong, and then we got Ryan Corella from Break the Business.
Chat, thank you so much for hanging out. Chat, you guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome. Sorry we didn't get a lot of good questions in today, but Raquel, it was really a pleasure learning so much about you and all your hard work and all the great things you've got going on. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, I got blocked by Nightbot. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Honestly, like I've known about this podcast, and I feel really honored for you guys to have asked me to begin with. So really appreciate you.
Yeah, we're
absolutely.
honored to have you in the community and streaming. So thank you.
Yeah,
Are
let's go do
we
this raid.
rating?
Yes, we are.
I like Johnny. I vouch for him. He's a very sweet person.
He's good
There we
peeps.
Perfect.
Thank
And
you
then
guys
Richie, yeah, thank you for hopping in today.
Yeah.
It was very last minute.
Of course. Yeah, no, Doc was just like, I'm sorry, but can you? And I was just like, sure. I just woke up at like 12:30 and I was just like, and it's a good thing that I checked that Discord was the first thing that I checked.
We'll see
so.
you over there, guys.
Awesome. Bye, guys. Have a great week.
Bye. Thanks,
later.
guys.